Hi, welcome to our math lesson. Today we'll be solving missing number problems. So the aim of today's lesson is to learn how to solve missing number problems and begin to express such problems algebraically. My learning objective, therefore, is to solve missing number problems and begin to express such problems algebraically. There are a few vocabulary I want you to take note of. The word itself, algebra. Now, algebra is just the part of math in which letters and general symbols are used to represent numbers and quantities in formulae and equations. It is the part of math where you figure out what the unknown value is in an equation. There are three success criteria that we can use to achieve our objective. First, that you can rearrange an equation leaving the unknown on one side. Second, that you can also find the inverse of operations. And third, that you can even solve missing number problems expressing such problems algebraically. A few rules that we can use. First, we use letters to represent the unknowns. Second, that we rearrange the equation until you have the unknown value all by itself on one side. Third is that we use 4 basic operations in math. And the last, they are not in any order. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do the same on both sides. So let's see how we are going to solve this equation. Q plus 7 equals 19. Now if I follow my rules, I have to rearrange the equation until the unknown letter Q is by itself. Now to do that, I can see is Q add 7. Now if I minus 7, I'm doing the inverse of plus 7. So here I have to use the inverse of plus 7, and the inverse of plus 7 is minus 7. So if I rewrite this, this is the question that was given to me. Q add 7 equals 19. Now I'm now performing the inverse of plus 7 as minus 7. But as I have done this on the left hand side, I have to do a minus 7 on the right hand side too. And in math, plus 7 minus 7 will be 0. So I know that this side of the equation, plus 7 minus 7 will be 0. So on my left hand side, I'll only have the letter Q. Now on the right hand side, I have known numbers, quantities. I know if I take 7 away from 19, 12 remains. So Q is actually equals to 12. Right, this is our second equation. W divided by 6 equals 3. Now, just as a note, I can rewrite W divided by 6 as a fraction. So I'm rewriting it W over 6 equals 3. Now let's then follow the rule. We rearrange the equation until the unknown letter, which is W in this case, is by itself. Now let's see how we can do that. Now we have the problem in my working. W over 6 equals 3. In this case, this is 6 is dividing the W. To find the inverse of divide is times. So actually, on the left hand side, I will do times 6, but whatever I do on the left hand side, I have to do the same on the right hand side. So I have my times 6 as well. So if we now simplify, here is 6, then divide by 6, it will be 1. So if I then simplify what is left over here, only this W will remain here because all these tend to 1. And on the right hand side, I have 3 times 6 over 1, this which is just 3 times 6, and 3 times 6 is 18. So my W is actually equal to 18. Now this is our next equation. In this one, we have 4 times P minus 5 equals 23. Now, a note here, there are 2 operations that are used, so we must be prepared to use 2 inverse operations. So let me start with my rules again. We rearrange the equation so that the letter P, the unknown letter P, is by itself. Now to do that, come with me to the working here. I'm just rewriting the question that was given to me. 4 times P minus 5 is equals to 23. Now the first thing I need to do is to do the inverse of minus 5. Now the inverse of minus 5 will be actually plus 5. So if I rewrite the whole thing with the inverse, I have 4 times P minus 5, which is my original question, and I'm doing the inverse of minus 5, which is plus 5, will be the same as 23 plus 5. So you can see I added minus 5 on the left hand side. I must add I added 5 on the left hand side. I must add 5 on the right hand side. Okay, now let's simplify. If I simplify this, 23 add 5, that will give me 28. And if I simplify this left hand side, minus 5 plus 5 will be 0. So what is actually remaining is 4 times P, which is written here. So 4 times P is equals to 28. Now here I have a times P. I know that multiplication is commutative, and what I mean by that is if I say 4 times P is the same as P times 4. If I use numbers, if I say 3 times 4 is actually the same as 4 times 3. So in that case, I'm actually multiplying by 4. So to do the inverse of multiplying 4, I have to divide by 4. So on this side, I have to divide by 4, and on the right hand side, I also divide by 4. So you can see my division here. And if I simplify, 4 divided by 4 is actually 1. So what is remaining on the left hand side is just 1p, which is here. And 27 divided by 4, 28 divided by 4 is 7. Right, I have got a mini task for you which I want you to do, so you can pause the video here and try this. Is 3t plus 2 equals 20. We'll look at the working in the next slide. How did you do? Now, the equation that was given to us is 3t plus 2 equals 20. Now, my rule says we rearrange the equation until the unknown letter, in this case it's a t, is by itself. So come with me to the working here, and let me just rewrite the question that was given to me. 3t plus 2 equals 20. Now I can see on the left hand side here, remember I want to make t stand by itself, so I'm trying to work out how I can get rid of all of these. And you have a plus 2 to start with, so I have to do the inverse of plus 2, which is minus 2. So if I rewrite everything with the inverse, you have my 3t still plus this 2, then minus 2 equals this 20 here, and then minus 2. So you can see the inverse I have introduced here. And if I simplify, 20 take away 2 is 18, and plus 2 minus 2 is actually 0. So what is left on the left hand side is just 3t. So 3t equals 18. Now my next thing, 3t I know is the same as 3 times t. So there's a multiplication that is used there. The inverse of multiplication is division. So instead of 3t, I'll do 3t and then do the inverse, introduce the inverse, which is divide by 3. So 3t divided by 3 will be the same as 18 divided by 3. And if I simplify, 3 divided by 3 is just 1t, which is just t, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So my t is actually 6. Now what I want you to do now is to pause the video and go and do the work. The mild should be doing sheet 1, the medium sheet 2, and the hot sheet 3. If you finish your work, you can try the challenge here. What I want you to do is to call a guardian, or if they are busy, a sibling, and show them how you did some of your work correctly. Just as a reflection, were you able to rearrange the equation, leaving the unknown on one side? Were you also able to find the inverse of the operations? Were you even able to solve missing number problems and expressing them algebraically? If you were able to do all that, well done. You have achieved the objective.